The FBI nabs a major leader in the MS-13 gang in Virginia. The race for the Wisconsin Supreme Court could decide which party controls Congress, and pro-Hamas visa cancellation criticisms are utterly smacked down. I'm Tony Kinnett from the Daily Signal's Tony Kinnett Cast, syndicated nationally at 7 p.m. Eastern. It is Friday, March 28, 2025. This is the Daily Signal's top news in 10. Henry Santos, a 24-year-old illegal migrant, was booked on weapons charges on Thursday morning after a raid near Dale City, Virginia, in Prince William County. He is one of just 340 illegal immigrant criminals busted by a new FBI task force this month alone. Here's Attorney General Pam Bondi and FBI Director Kash Patel on the matter.
First reaction is all of our law enforcement officers are safe. That was the number one thing. They're safe. They executed a clean, safe operation, and the bad guys in custody. And thanks to the FBI, we got one of the worst of MS-13 off the streets this morning.
We were able to be out here in force to show the American people, to be here in person, that this means a lot to her and the mission. Safety is our primary concern of these communities, and we effectuated that today.
Immigration Customs Enforcement also arrested Virginia Basora Gonzalez, a 36-year-old citizen of the Dominican Republic, whom was kicked out of the United States before for trafficking fentanyl, and then came back into the country illegally again to be arrested by Immigration Customs Enforcement again. Has prior convictions for attempted possession with intent to distribute fentanyl and aiding and abetting. The White House account on X portrayed her arrest in a meme of a particular Japanese animation by Studio Ghibli. The meme was praised and criticized pretty much along party lines. The race for the Wisconsin Supreme Court is heating up. Susan Crawford, backed by liberals, and Brad Schimmel, backed by conservatives, are neck and neck in the polls, and it all could come down to how the Hispanic voting communities in Wisconsin decide. The justice who wins could tilt the balance in favor of either the originalists or the living constitutionalists, and therefore create a different congressional district map in Wisconsin, which could change the balance of power in the House of Representatives, which is already on a very thin margin tilting toward Republicans. We sat down with Daniel Garza, the founding president of the Libra Initiative, to talk a little bit more about this particular election.
Well, for one, obviously, you can tilt the ideological scale of the court, the Supreme Court of Wisconsin, and that'll dictate a lot of how decisions are made and how, it tips the balance on many of the, obviously, the thousands of cases that go through the Supreme Court. I don't know, thousands, maybe hundreds. I'm not sure. Point is, it will tilt, the majority of the ideological scale. It also has national implications in the sense that this race is being funded by people across the country, especially for Susan Crawford, who's like, I think 80% of the donations are coming from out of state. That's an astronomical number, but it just, obviously goes to show a lot of folks are interested in the outcome of this race. Mm-hmm. And then I would say also that it promises to tilt maybe the scale or the majority of the U.S. Congress. That's because, the candidate, Suzanne Crawford, was caught promoting her intentions to rig the districts using the levers of the judiciary to make it happen.
So when you say like using the judiciary to make districting a specific way in Wisconsin, what do you mean?
Yeah, so there's some emails that went out that were intercepted. That showed that she made promises that she was going to be involved in redistricting deliberately and intentionally the congressional districts of the state to flip two of the seats.
Another foreign national on a student visa has been detained and is set to be deported after her visa was revoked. Turkish student Rümeysa Öztürk, who was attending Tufts University, engaged in activities supporting foreign terrorist organization Hamas, which included taking over and blockading university campuses and harassing other students. Secretary of State Marco Rubio responded to criticisms which called this kidnapping and a violation of free speech. Here you go.
We revoked her visa. It's an F1 visa, I believe. We revoked it, and here's why. And I'll say it again. I said it everywhere. Let me be abundantly clear, okay? If you go apply for a visa right now, anywhere in the world, let me just send this message out. If you apply for a visa to enter the United States and be a student, and you tell us that the reason why you're coming to the United States is not just because you want to write op-eds, but because you want to participate in movements that are involved in doing things like vandalizing universities, harassing students, taking over buildings, creating a ruckus, we're not going to give you a visa. If you lie to us and get a visa and then enter the United States and with that visa participate in that sort of activity, we're going to take away your visa. And once you've lost your visa, you're no longer legally in the United States, and we have a right, like every country in the world has a right, to remove you from our country. So it's just that simple. I think it's crazy. I think it's stupid for any country in the world to welcome people into their country that are going to go to your universities as visitors. They're visitors. And say, I'm going to your universities to start a riot. I'm going to your universities to take over a library and harass people. I don't care what movement you're involved in. Why would any country in the world allow people to come and disrupt? Now, we gave you a visa to come and study and get a degree, not to become a social activist that tears up our university campuses. And if we've given you a visa and then you decide to do that, we're going to take it away. I encourage every country to do that, by the way, because I think it's crazy to invite students into your country that are coming onto your campus and destabilizing it. We're just not going to have it. So we'll revoke your visa, and once your visa is revoked, you're illegally in the country and you have to leave. Every country in the world has a right to decide who comes in as a visitor and who doesn't. If you invite me into your home because you say, I want to come to your house for dinner, and I go to your house and I start putting mud on your couch and spray painting your kitchen, I bet you're going to kick me out. Well, we're going to do the same thing if you come into the United States as a visitor and create a ruckus for us. We don't want it. We don't want it in our country. Go back and do it in your country. But you're not going to do it in our country.
There was fire along similar lines in a Senate hearing yesterday after one particular Senate witness claimed that deporting Mahmoud Khalil is like McCarthyism. Here's Senator Josh Hawley's response.
As you and I sit here in New York court by the victims of October 7th for terrorizing and assaulting Jewish students, unlawfully taking over and damaging public university property, and physically assaulting Columbia University employees. And you're telling me that it's McCarthyism to remove this individual?
Senator, the deportation was started before that lawsuit, before that second question about what he was saying on his forms.
No, this is what the government has alleged in open court, Mr. Stern. This is the basis for their removal proceedings. And our law makes clear if you endorse or espouse terrorist activity, you can be removed from this country. He has done so. He's been accused of doing so from the beginning. He's been accused of lying to get into the country. I'm amazed that you're saying that this is McCarthyism.
Senator, you weren't here when I quoted part of what Justice Brandeis was talking about the back at a case where there's somebody that was convicted for supporting the Communist Party because they were talking about violence as a political solution. And Brandeis cautioned us that this type of robust speech, as long...
This isn't speech. Lying on a visa application is not speech. Seeking to assault Columbia University employees and Jewish students is not speech. You are defending an individual who has espoused the destruction of this country, the destruction of the state of Israel, the destruction of Jews, and has taken actions in furtherance of the same. You've also said that investigating the 60 colleges and universities that are currently under investigation by the Trump administration for anti-Semitism is a form of weaponizing anti-Semitism for political benefit. You're opposed to investigating these institutions for anti-Semitism?
And our political editor, Bradley Devlin, host of the Signal Sit-Down, was invited to the White House yesterday, along with several other major podcast hosts, to interview Trump officials and members of the White House staff. Devlin got a chance to sit down with White House Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt. Here's a special clip from that interview airing later today.
The president loves young people, and he wants to see young people succeed. I think that's part of the reason he had I have the honor of serving as his press secretary, and he gave me this job. He has spoken publicly about it, how many people told him that I was too young to have this position, and he told me, you're not. When I was 21, I was building buildings in Manhattan, and I believe you can have this job.
You can catch that interview later today by heading down to the description below and making sure that you're subscribed to the Signal Sit-Down. And while you're there, make sure you're subscribed to the Tony Kinnett Cast and join us this evening at 7 p.m. Eastern, where we dig into the rest of the nonsense that's been piling up this week and get you closed out for the weekend. I'm Tony Kinnett, and this has been the Daily Signal's Top News in 10. Take care.